Good evening. Welcome to tonight's March 5th, 2018 Public Council meeting. A roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis.
Here.
Councilwoman Peterson. Here. Councilman Vargo.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sakala.
Here.
Mayor Tinella.
Here. Please rise for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was duly provided to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and the Star Ledger by email and published in an annual schedule of meetings dated December 29, 2017, and respectfully filed with the Township Clerk, and posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building lobby in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act. Item 2, extraordinary business of the Township Council, ceremonial swearing in of Officer Grigolo. Did I say that right? Excellent.
You're getting better.
I'm getting better? Officer Rigoli, you want to come forward? Chief Sarasa? We taking pictures tonight?
Sorry.
Excellent.
Somebody want to hold the Bible?
Yeah.
Peter?
His family, so his mother and father and sister, you want to all come forward? Before I swear in Officer Grigolo, I just want to tell the public a little bit about him. He graduated from Paramus High School in 2012, graduated from Marist College with a BS degree in criminal justice in 2016. He was accepted into the Bergen County Police Academy alternate route program and ranked number 1 overall. He graduated Bergen County Police Academy, class 119, on December 13, 2017. And he was sworn in officially as a Cedar Grove police officer on January 2nd, 2018. He has experience as a state certified firefighter, a state certified emergency medical technician, special law enforcement officer class 1. His family's here with him tonight. He has his father Albert, his mother Teresa, and his sister Sophis. This is always a great time. You know, there's a lot of great things to do as mayor, but I think this is one of my most favorite things to swear in a new member of our police force. And I know Officer Grigolo, if you don't know already, you're joining a great team of officers. Some of them are here tonight. They're led by our town manager, Chief Sarasa. It's a great group of professionals, and on behalf of the town council, I just want to welcome you to Cedar Grove and let you know you have our full support, and we're very proud, and we wish you the best of luck. So with that being said, I'd like to have you put your left hand on Bible, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Anthony J. Grigolo,
I, Anthony J. Grigolo,
do sincerely profess and swear
do sincerely profess and swear
that I do
that I do
and will bear
and will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the government
to the government
established in this state
established in this state
under the authority of the people.
under authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of
perform all the duties of
police officer of the Cedar Grove Police Department,
police officer of the Cedar Grove Police Department,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding.
according to the best of my abilities and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Police chief doubles as a photographer. Very good. I didn't know you had that quality.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Fine, thank you.
Anybody else on the council want to say anything? Any comments? No? Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, moving on to item 3, approval of minutes. to consider approval of minutes of regular public meeting February 12th, 2018. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, question. So I was absent at that meeting, so I should be abstaining.
Mr. Town Attorney, I'll defer to you.
Yes, you should.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Abstain?
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Abstain.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 4, public hearing, to consider adoption of pending ordinance 18822, amending ordinance 17803, Downtown Advisory Committee.
An ordinance of the Township of Cedar Grove, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance number 17803, changing the chapter number from the Downtown Advisory Committee.
The meeting is now open to the public on this item and this item only. Seeing none, I close that portion of the meeting. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move for the adoption of pending ordinance number 18-822 to be published in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a passed ordinance to take effect as prescribed by law.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 5, award a bid. A, to consider resolution awarding bid for furnishing, deliver, and installation of fire department breathing system.
Be it resolved that the award of bid be made to Continental Fire and Safety Incorporated of Hamilton, New Jersey.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, just an explanation of what the fire department breathing system is. The fire department has air bottles, and they're filled by a cascade, what they call a cascade system. Well, we always had to do it externally, and now what we're doing at 14 Cedar Street, we're putting this air refill system so that the fire department will be able to do it in-house. A lot more convenient for the 3 fire companies in town, and that's what this expenditure is. And that was in the 2017 capital improvement ordinance that was approved by the governing body.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. We have a motion, we have a second. A roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes, the meeting is now open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on the agenda. Seeing none, I close that portion of the meeting. Reports of township officials. Mr. Tucci, good
Good
evening.
evening, Mayor. I just have one item, it's just informational. In the packet, you'll see the letter of agreement with our special outside poet counsel for the council's consideration.
Great.
That's the only thing I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. Township Clerk, Mrs. Stutz.
Good evening.
Good
Mayor.
evening.
I don't have
No
any-
report. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Stutz. Mr. Township Attorney.
No report.
No report. All right, other reports. I'll start off. I'm going to call for an executive session on the COA litigation. At the time, call that here. And then I saw in the packet over here. Over here. I just wanted to bring to the council's attention, there's a memo in the packet from the Recreation Advisory Board recommending pool fee recommendations. The committee met, we just met a couple weeks ago, and this is the recommendations. We considered Mr. Homa's recommendations, which you can see the memo is self-explanatory, but I believe we need a motion from the council to accept the recommendations of the board.
Yes.
I believe, right? I don't know
And
if,
authorize the recreation department to put out those fees to the general fund.
right, and you can see the board wanted to get, ahead, get this moving sooner rather than later. So I don't know if any member of the council has any questions. You had time to take a look at it and review it?
I have.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Sure.
So the pool fees, one of the things that I know that some other towns do, and I'd just like to put it up for consideration, is they do for our first responders, a fire, rescue squad, and ambulance, and all our volunteers, they get some type of reduced rate. So it's something, I know we haven't done it in the past. I'm not looking to adjust the current rates
Right.
that you've proposed. I think they make sense and they're fair, but maybe just add another category for our volunteers in the town to see if there is some type of reduced rate that we can offer them.
Mr. Tucci, if the board was going to consider a first responders reduced rate, we can go ahead and adopt, there's some formalities. We can go ahead and adopt what the recommendation here is tonight. And I guess we can, when we meet at our next meeting,
You could bring
I can
that
bring it to the
back.
board and we can always tweak the recommendation at that
Absolutely.
point. Is the council okay in proceeding in that manner? I think it's a good suggestion in that sense. Okay? So do we need a motion. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Any other discussion? A roll call, please.
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Abstain. Councilman
Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes, and just for the public's edification, I think that this issue here takes up, I'd say, like almost 90% of the Recreation Advisory Board's time and consideration. We get a lot of comments. I say we. I think members of the council, the members of the board, get a lot of comments or suggestions from residents, all good and well and good. These recommendations that are made, there's a lot of time and there's a lot of thought that goes into these recommendations. The board looks at the surrounding communities to see what they're doing, so we can compare and contrast and see how we can always improve. So I just wanted to, put that out there. This was hours in the making of putting these recommendations together, and hopefully this year it'll be another success at the town pool. I don't think I had anything else under mine here. Oh, I did have one other comment. In the packet, there's a letter from Senator Corrado to us as a council, asking us to support her initiative for the Socks for Soldiers drive. And what she asked Mr. Tucci is look to have, I don't know, I didn't look downstairs as I came in tonight. Do we have some type of drop-off point for residents if they want to drop off, the socks for the soldiers, if we do something?
We always designate an area downstairs, just inside the door to the left, for any of our drop-off campaigns.
Okay. Maybe it's something we could put on our website, or just to get the public aware of it. They're looking for the drop-off during this month. So if anybody has any socks to drop off for this drive, that would be greatly appreciated. It looks like they collected more than 6,000 pairs of socks over a period of time last year, that's a pretty good initiative. That's all I have. Deputy Mayor?
It's good to see you got off on the right foot.
You couldn't wait to say that one, right? That's
I
good.
was holding it back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just two brief things. One, I was reached, the Councilman Capozzoli from Caldwell reached out to me, and he asked me whether Cedar Grove would be interested in entering a discussion with them and other surrounding towns, whereby they're talking about creating a West Essex-based animal shelter. And I don't know how the council feels about it, but I thought that maybe if everyone wants to hear more, maybe I can get a little more information, and we can put it on at the next staff meeting for a discussion.
I don't have an issue with that. Mr. Tucci, you have any
Well,
any
it's
comment?
always good to
To-
discuss items,
Right. Why don't we do that? You want to get some more
Yeah.
information in for the next staff meeting? That'd be great.
And then the other thing was that I'm going to be attending on Saturday the Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Matt Kniff and Chris Handel. I was provided with the certificates that I'm going to present to them at the Court of Honor. Are we going to, Mr. Tucci, invite them here and do a?
Whatever the council's pleasure is, you can, we have done that in the past. Council wants to bring them in here and honor them specially
Yeah,
at a council meeting.
I would ask that we do
Yep.
that, if that's okay with everyone.
Yep.
We bring them here, we have a resolution, and we celebrate this great accomplishment that they're going to be
Agreed.
making.
Right. Ms. Stutz, I know, Ms. Stutz, you and I had talked about the deputy mayor going to present the certificate here. You can just ask the two gentlemen and their parents if they'd like to come here. We can do a ceremonial kind of presentation to them as well. Be nice, kind of like we did tonight with our officer.
Okay.
If you can coordinate that? Okay, thank you.
And that's all. Thank you.
One other thing, before we move on to other council reports, I was remiss to mention in my report, I just want to thank our colleagues and friends with the Board of Education again. As we all know, we attended last week on the 27th, a joint meeting with the Board of Ed. It was well-attended, and I think it was very well-received. And I think we talked about a lot of interesting issues, and it was just a great way for us to come together, the two boards, to show the unity that we have between us. And I thought it was a great idea, and I look forward to the next time when we meet. Councilman Peterson,
Good evening, Mayor.
good evening.
I have a couple things. Number one, the Municipal Alliance is hosting Hidden in Plain Sight this Thursday, 7 p.m. at the Robert O'Toole Community Center. We invited our friends from the Verona Municipal Alliance and our neighbors that live in Verona to also join. This is a program that will be given by the Drug Enforcement Administration and Special Agent Tim McMahon. It helped make a mock bedroom and show parents how kids can use everyday items to just hide drug paraphernalia, alcohol, things like that. So I've heard feedback from other municipalities that have hosted this. It's apparently a great event. Always good to educate the public and parents and things like that. So spread the word, get everybody to come. I hope we have we're hoping for a really good turnout.
What's the age range? I'm sure it could be pretty
It
broad.
could be
What do you guys-
anyone. I would say it's teens, so,
Teens?
maybe 6th, 7th grade to seniors in
Right.
high school, but really anyone,
Anybody, okay.
anyone. It's always good to educate yourself and be proactive.
And it's for the parent and the child to come?
Just the parent.
Just the parent, okay.
Yeah, it's just for the parents.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing I have is we've talked about the legalization of marijuana. After reviewing and, since I first brought it up in January, I've done a lot of research and read a lot, and hopefully you guys have as well. And I just think at this point, I know we don't know what New Jersey's doing, but I think we should be proactive, and I would ask the council if we could just go ahead and pass an ordinance to ban the sale here in Cedar Grove.
Right. What's the council's pleasure on that? Any comments?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you agree? Councilman Vardo?
Councilwoman Peterson, I agree. I think it's a great initiative that you're pushing, and I would fully support the ordinance that you would put forward.
I have to say the same comment as well, and as the council's aware, we sent a letter, the council agreed to send a letter to Assemblyman Joe Danielson, who is the chair of the Committee on Oversight and Reform and Federal Relations. We sent that last week just to put our state legislators on notice of our opposition to the legalization of marijuana and the sale of marijuana in the township of Cedar Grove. And I think what you're proposing here tonight is the next step in that process, and I support it 100%.
Mayor, I wasn't really prepared to talk about this tonight. I thought we'd have a resolution on the table, so I'm not really prepared to go into my position on it. But I will say this, I was in favor. As a matter of fact, I think I was the one that recommended
You were.
to you that we send a letter.
Agreed.
Letting our elected officials in Trenton know that we are, as a board, as a governing body, in Cedar Grove, we're opposed to the legalization of marijuana. However, an ordinance now to prohibit the sale of marijuana in Cedar Grove for many, many reasons is premature. In my opinion, is premature, and I think it's a little short-sighted of the council to do that at this juncture. That's my opinion. So I won't support that ordinance at this juncture, although if legalization of marijuana is passed and we have a full breadth and scope of what it is, what it means to prohibit the sale of something that the state is allowing in the town, I would support it at that time, or in the alternative, if it was something that the council, and it appears that the council wants to do, I think before we do that, we should have a public hearing. We should open it up to the residents who we will be waiving benefits for the sale of marijuana, should have an opportunity to come in and be heard. And we should also incorporate, as other towns have done, with public hearings, input and I'm not talking about informal input, but formal input from the police department and any other stakeholders in the issue regarding legalization of marijuana before we pass any such resolution. So I think that would be the most prudent way to proceed on that issue. And if we don't do it that way, that's, obviously, it is what it is, but,
Right.
I will not support it, although I am 100% against the legalization of marijuana in any form.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And obviously, I respect you and I respect your opinion. I appreciate your comments this evening. With regard to the proposing of an ordinance, I agree with you in part that I think you need to have the police review such ordinance. I agree with that 100%. I think any ordinance that, before we propose it, we want to obviously make sure that our law enforcement professionals review it and provide us with their comments and suggestions. I don't agree in the sense with regard to having a public hearing, and again, I'm just one individual up here, and I pretty much, I felt this way with a lot of the issues that we discuss. Because a lot of times what we hear is, let's open up to the public, and I feel my personal opinion is that's what the public elected us to do, to make those decisions for them. And again, it's just a disagreement, and I hear what you're saying. I don't agree that's the way we should proceed in that manner. But I definitely think we need to, before we pass any ordinance and finalize it, I want to see that the police have reviewed it and made their suggestions. So with that said, there's four, do you have any comments, Councilman?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mr. Mayor. I think once the ordinance would be drafted, we open for public comment as well. And we should obtain our police department's input. But I want to take a step back, and I want to thank Councilwoman Peterson for taking the lead on this, because I know the amount of research, thought, and care that she put into doing this. I know that Councilwoman Peterson did not take it lightly, and I appreciate very much that she put this forward. I have seen the effects of legalizing marijuana firsthand. I travel quite frequently for work, and I've seen, for example, in Colorado, before it was legal and then after it was legal, and the changing of the community changes the characteristics of the community, changes the character of the community, and I've seen it firsthand. So, Councilwoman Peterson, I want to thank you for your research and your efforts in this.
You're welcome. Thank you for your support. And Deputy Mayor, I really do appreciate your perspective. I just, there's so many things that I've read, and it's statistically unsafe. And what I've heard, the biggest pushback that I've heard is that, what's the difference between, a liquor store? We have 2 liquor stores in town. We have bars. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that marijuana is federally illegal. It's illegal. So it's an all-cash business. I think it puts our public safety at risk, and that's first and foremost my concern. So when people say there's no difference, there is a difference. It's federally illegal. And, maybe people have had benign experiences with marijuana, and I'm sure they have, and they're a proponent of it, and that's all well and good for them. Personally speaking, I've been a registered nurse for 23 years, working in the medical intensive care unit in Patterson, and I can tell you what I've seen firsthand. It's not pretty. It's really not pretty. I've had to tell people that their family member is gone and no longer living because of effects of drugs. Kids are 2 to 3 times, or people, I should say, are 2 to 3 times more likely to do other drugs, and they start with marijuana. I could go on and on and on. So I just think being proactive, and for Cedar Grove to take this stance, I know people will disagree with it, and again, I agree with the mayor. You put it out to the public, you're going to hear an entire variety. Everybody, I've heard it. I've been talking to people, and I appreciate everyone's perspective, but I just think for who we are as a community, public safety is always first and foremost, and I just think something that is federally illegal, until that's changed, then maybe we can revisit. I just think it's a good position for us to take here in Cedar Grove. We don't know what the revenue will be. It's scattered. It's all over the place. I did have the opportunity to speak with the former mayor of Centennial, Colorado. and got his perspective, and it was much like Councilman Vargo said. He explained basically the same thing, and in Centennial, they did ban the sale of it there as well. So, and that was the first, I was on the phone with him for about an hour and a half, and he gave me a lot of information, and so I do appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate the council's support on this. I think it's really important for our community.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes, Deputy
Just,
Mayor? Yes.
And just so, again, so the council is aware, I've read everything that you provided, and I appreciate you providing it and you moving forward on this too. I'm not saying that I'm against
No, I
this
know.
happening.
Yeah.
But in reality, what's going to happen is, there's going to be a law passed, probably. We don't know what the ramifications will be for our community if we don't abide by that law. And before we waive anything, we should know what those ramifications are. Because if they're serious enough, if, for example, and I'm making this, this is hypothetical.
Right.
If the governor says, okay, you won't enforce our law, then any extraordinary aid that you get for special education, we're gonna take that off the table. Well, that would cripple this community, because well, I shouldn't say it would cripple us, it would hurt us, because now everyone's gonna have to reach into their pockets and make up the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 that we get every year for special education. Or the governor can say something like, okay, you don't wanna follow our law, no more money for your roads. We have a major state highway running through our town. So what's gonna happen? Probably, we may have to have egg on our face and take back that ordinance. It can't hurt to wait to see what the ramifications are gonna be. And here's why. And I looked at everything that Councilwoman Peterson gave me, and every article said that any ordinance that's gonna be passed, let's say they pass it in June of 2018, it's not gonna take effect until June of 2019. There's gonna be 1 year. So we have a year to pass an ordinance if it's something that's not gonna affect us, or it's gonna affect us so little that we don't care about it, or it's gonna affect us greatly, but we can ask the public what their opinion is. What's your opinion? Your taxes are gonna go up $200 a year. What do you want us to do? I'm elected, we're elected to be the voice of the people, but when it comes to dollars and cents, these people wanna know what the council is doing with their money. So give them an opportunity to speak. If it were urgent, where this is gonna happen next week, maybe I would have a different opinion. We're talking about probably something being passed in June, and then again, it may never be passed at this juncture from what I'm reading, but let's say it's gonna be passed in June like they're saying. We have a year and 3 months before it goes into effect. And even then, the current state of the legislation is only going to grant 70 licenses throughout the entire state. And we have, 526 municipalities in the state?
65.
565 municipalities. So guess what? There's going to be 495 municipalities that don't have dispensaries. So what are the odds of that coming to Cedar Grove? And even if it did, even if you don't want to take the chance on the odds, we have a year and 3 months to pass this ordinance. So I don't see what the great rush to do it is. We've already made our intentions known. We don't like that. We don't want legalization of marijuana. When you go to your meeting, your committee meetings and your hearings and your vote. We're your constituents, vote no. And there's not much more that we can do. Yes, it's illegal on a federal level. The federal government refuses to enforce it. It's a law that they refuse to enforce. So that's probably going to change too somewhere down the road. So, but that's how I feel about the issue. Again, I don't want anyone to have any misconceptions that I'm in favor of the legalization of marijuana. I'm not. I just think that there's a smarter way to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just one comment, Councilman. And again, Deputy Mayor, I hear what you're saying, and I respect your opinion. My thought is, I think, as a council, and again, I'm just one vote, we need to lead by example. And I'm wishful thinking that if enough communities come together, and we come out in the forefront, and we show the governor that we are opposed to this in our neighboring communities, and maybe there's some type of effect here. Say, really, we don't want to have legalization of marijuana. Maybe our one vote here opposing it in Cedar Grove could, start something or join together with other communities, and he'll think twice about actually going ahead with his campaign promise to legalize it. Again, that's just my thought on it. With regard to, our ordinance maybe hurting our community at some point in time, I would never want that to happen. And if any of those examples that you raise should come to effect, obviously as a council, we'd have to, I would propose us relooking at what we passed. And there's no reason why we can't amend an ordinance down the road. It's certainly not my intention when we pass one to have to do that, but if that's what's going to take to protect our community, I'll do everything that we need to do to protect the community in that sense. Again, I feel strongly about doing it now. I'm not going to speak for Councilwoman Peterson, why she does, to lead by example, and I'm hoping other communities, some have already done it, and would continue to join us. That's what my point. Councilman Camberos?
Yes. The main reason why I'm so opposed to this is I feel it's for tax revenue, not so much as the legalization part of it. And I feel that by making it legal and by us supporting that, I feel that if one of our children in this town or young adults in this town should happen to get hurt, it would be on us. And I feel it's blood money. There's no amount of tax revenue that's going to cause the loss of a child in our town. And so that's the reason why I'm voting, because I'm against it, because I don't want our young adults, we can't benefit from that. And I agree with you, what you just said. It looks like there's a really big support against, and Verona and different Cornwalls, they're all supporting that. And I think that by us doing it, we're leading by example.
Right. Thank you. Councilman?
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I have one final comment. I agree with you, we have to lead by example. And I think we're sending the message right now that the character and safety of our community is not for sale. And I think that that's important, and that's the message we're sending.
Thank you. Any other comments? So, Mr. Town Attorney, you need a motion from us. What we like to do, from what I'm hearing from the council, the majority of the council would like for your office to prepare an ordinance for our review.
Okay,
You can go ahead and do that? Okay, great.
definitely, Mayor.
Councilwoman Peterson, any other comments?
No, I agree with what you all said. I think again, it's public safety. I want to lead by example. I want this to be a strong message to, the youth in our community that we are against this. We want to promote a healthy lifestyle, not have more places in town, we don't need anymore. So I agree what you said, and I do agree that by joining other municipalities, I believe it was North Caldwell that just passed an ordinance to ban it, right? It was North Caldwell, I think. And if the governor sees more and more municipalities banding together, it only makes the case stronger. So why wait and see what happens? Let's be proactive, put our foot down, and do something about it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Councilman Camberos, just moving along with the,
Yes.
are you done with your report, your
Yes,
council
thank
report?
you. Yep.
Your
Yes,
council report, any problems?
two short
Sure.
things. I want to congratulate Anthony Clarizario, hope I got that right.
Clarizio.
Did I?
Clarizio.
Clarizio?
Who's close?
He placed 5th in the state in wrestling. That is the highest out of any Cedar Grove resident has ever placed. So I feel that that's something that,
Is that the highest ever placed? 5th?
yeah, in Cedar
Really?
Grove, for state.
Interesting.
And the last thing is I ask the council's consideration and support for the resolution to support the dog park at Cedar Grove County Park. It's in our packet in correspondence.
I saw that in here. I don't know what the council's pleasure is with regard to that. Anybody have any comments? I don't know if we want to address that here or in a staff meeting to talk about it in more detail. What's the council's pleasure with regard to that? Any comments?
No objection to talking about it here or
Okay.
at a staff meeting.
That's fine.
But what is so I did see the packet. I
Right.
did see the letter, and I think it was from North Caldwell.
Right.
I believe it was from the clerk in North Caldwell.
May I give you a little more?
Yeah, please.
background? Basically, the resolution is just supporting the dog enclosure, dog park at the Cedar Grove Community Park up there. And the freeholder then would present that to Joe DiFrancesca for his approval of doing. So we're only just suggesting with the resolution that we would like that. The residents in town showed interest in that, and I think it's a good thing, for, people who have pets, dogs.
Councilman Camberos, did I see in the packet, was it a sample resolution that North Caldwell passed? Is that what it was in there?
No, I think it's their actual resolution.
That's your actual
And
resolution?
then the county's rules and regulations pertaining to a dog park.
Okay,
If I got that correct, Ms. Stutz? It was the actual.
That's the resolution that North Caldwell passed.
just passed. So what's the council's pleasure? Does anybody have any questions or comments? Are we in favor of passing a resolution?
No objection.
No objection? Okay. So you'll put that on the agenda, Ms. Stutz, for us to, okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, yeah, great.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Bargo, you,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I have not gone yet.
okay, just checking.
So I have a couple items to speak about, but the first one I actually overlaps with Councilman Camberos. I want to congratulate Anthony Clarizio. And I also want to congratulate Joe McCarthy. He made it down to the state tournament as well, and he took, I believe it was top 16. So being involved in the sport of wrestling my entire life, I know how hard it is to get down there, to get down to Atlantic City by itself, and then to take top 16 and a fifth place is fantastic. And I would ask if it is possible, I don't know the process or the protocol, but since we do have Anthony Clarizio, if there is something that we could provide him to recognize him for that. It is a high place, and as Councilman Camberos noted, one of the highest that we've had in Cedar Grove. So if it is possible, I'd like to see if we can consider that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We can have, can invite, even with, Joseph McCarthy come
Joe
in here.
McCarthy, yes.
Have both of them come in if there's no objection from the council. We do it, it's a great way to honor our young, our teenagers and our student athletes in town. And I agree with you. Not being in wrestling, but I know the time and commitment involved to make
Yeah.
it to that level is something to be recognized. So, is there any objection from the council? We can have them, invite them in, we can present them with a proclamation, a resolution. What's the right one, Ms. Stutz?
Well, usually in the past, we've given
Certification? Thank you.
certificate of achievement.
Awesome.
Or recognition.
Exactly it. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have just a couple other
All
items.
these years.
So the Downtown Advisory Committee has been working on the Cedar Grove Art Walk. Some of you may have seen it on social media and on the internet, and there'll be some flyers that are going around. As of now, we've had a tremendous amount of interest from the public to see an event in the downtown area. We have all of our artists just about in place. We have all of our sponsors just about in place. The banners have been ordered. The artists have picked up their banners, so they will be painting them. And the theme is what we discussed, Cedar Grove, historic Cedar Grove or scenic Cedar Grove. So they will be up starting on April 12th. And with the town council's approval, I'd like to have a little kickoff event / ribbon cutting ceremony on April 12th to sort of memorialize our first event in the downtown. It doesn't have to be anything over the top, but something simple where we can recognize some of our volunteers. April 12th is the actual date of the event, so to the extent that works, it would be fantastic.
What time are you looking to have that event, Councilman?
I can tell you right now, Mr. Mayor, I believe we're looking to have the event at 6 o'clock. I will confirm. The event, the art walk starts at 6:30. We will have a jazz band there and a couple other.
Where will that be? So I saw the jazz band at Town Hall on the front steps, is that what?
Yeah, so what we would like to do is start the kickoff here on the front steps. We can say something, recognize all of our volunteers and the artists, and then sporadically start the walk.
Mr. Tucci, does that work, 6 o'clock on that night? Can we do that out front here?
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
Okay.
And Mr. Tucci, I'll work with you on some more of the details.
Okay.
Okay. The next topic I have is the Cedar de Mayo event. So it's it's fitting that I talk about the Art Walk and then the Cedar de Mayo event, because what we're trying to do is bring some excitement to the downtown area. Our volunteers have been working, when I say around the clock on these efforts, I really do mean around the clock. I'm on phone calls at 11 o'clock being asked questions and receiving, emails back and forth. So I appreciate their efforts, but we are going to be rolling into our Cedar de Mayo event, which will be on May 12th. The details have yet to be fully finalized, but for the public edification, it will be a food truck event where all of the banners that will be hung on Pompton Ave will be auctioned off. There will be, we're hoping to have some live music down there and some other vendors down there, some fun for the kids as well. And that will be at LRP on May 12th with a rain date of the following Saturday. So it'll be from 4 to 8 on May 12th. And that would then conclude the Art Walk.
Okay.
Okay. The last update / question I have is for Mr. Tucci. Mr. Tucci, I've received some complaints / concerns about South Mountain Ave, about the roadway. Do we know when the last time it was paved? I recall you saying there was some type of cycle for the roads for paving.
There is a roadway inventory
Right.
that we do every 2 years.
Yep.
And there's roadway ratings for every road within the township. Roads are not rated by how many years, but they're rated by the condition.
Okay.
And that's the way it's determined what gets paved and what doesn't get paved.
Mr. Tucci, maybe we have some new council members here, the process. I know I'm familiar with the process. What happens? Patching, paving,
Right.
and full street reconstruction, just so they understand.
You're two different processes in town. There's total reconstruct and there's mill and overlay. What happens is we evaluate all the roads in town. We look at the longitudinal and traverse cracks in the roadway. We look at the catch basins. We look at the curb. If there's sidewalks, we look at the sidewalk behind. We look at the piping, drainage piping and water mains underneath. And that's how we determine which roads get total reconstruct and which ones get mill and overlay. So, and that's why you see in most of our reconstruction projects are grant projects. NJDOT grants, Essex County Community Development Block grants. Most of the overlay is done through our capital improvement budget, which last year I think we did probably about $800 to $1 million worth of roadway overlay.
More than we did any other year.
More than we did any other
Right.
year. I think we did the whole north end, Oak and Pine, and that whole area.
And the reconstruction typically consists of one, if not two streets.
Now, I can tell you that if you talk to most residents, they'll tell you their street needs to be repaved. That's why we have the roadway inventory, which is a more objective way
Sure.
and fair way to do it. And that's how the roadways are selected. So, the resident complaints, we do go out and look, and as the mayor said, if the road needs some patchwork, because over bad winters, you get potholes, and we have a whole program in the spring where we go out and we look at all the roadways, look at the potholes. If it's not a total reconstruct or a mill and overlay, we do repairs. We do sometimes large repairs. So, as a matter of fact, I had a resident come in my office today and tell me about Ozone Avenue. So, like I said, we take everybody's complaint, we look at every complaint, and we evaluate it, and then we make our determinations based
Sure.
on that.
You said it's an audit, it's done every 2 years?
Every 2 years. The council gets a copy of the book.
When was it last done? Are we coming up on the 2 years, or are we in the middle of it?
Next year.
Okay, so next year the
Next
audit's
year.
done. Okay,
I believe it was done in 17, so it'll be done in 19 again.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Tucci.
While we're on that subject too, we have a public meeting here with the folks at home. Obviously this council is very aware of the condition of Route 23. We've talked about it with you. Maybe you can just let the public know, what's the status? When do we expect the state to come back in here and finish the job that we started?
Well, actually, there's really two projects going on right now
Right.
in 23. There's the public service gas main replacement, which will be followed up by NJDOT roadway improvements and mill and overlay. The mill and overlay would take place starting at Bloomfield Avenue in Verona and continue all the way up to Willowbrook Mall in Wayne. So the whole stretch of Route 23. With that, there'll be intersection improvements at certain intersections. Bradford is one of them. There'll be an additional left turn lane there. There'll be some improvements in the downtown business area where there'll be shoulders on each side of the roadway, so you won't have that 2 lane of traffic coming through. It'll be a slowing and a calming down in that area, and there'll be other small minor improvements along the way. There is a phase 2 that we had discussed with a resident here on West Lindsley and East Lindsley, that bad traffic light there.
Right.
But that's gonna be a second phase to this project, because as we go along, there are more and more things that keep getting added on that weren't appropriated for in the beginning. But getting back to your
Time
comments,
frame, right.
As far as timeframes, the estimate is that it's gonna start sometime in April, the overlay.
The overlay, how long will that take? You're not holding, is that a month, that's 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or just
That's gonna take probably about 2 months.
2 months?
To do that whole stretch, hopefully within a 2-month period.
So hopefully by the time end of the school year, in midsummer, Route 23 is going to be a brand-new Route 23.
Hopefully.
We've suffered through, I mean, this has been a terrible winter for us,
Believe me, we
right?
get complaints
Yep.
every day
I know,
about potholes along the stretch.
right. We're all aware of it, I mean, we
Yes.
drive on it ourselves, so,
Believe me,
no
we
doubt.
experienced it right here in front of Town Hall.
Yeah.
All our brick pavers got ripped up. If you see, there's asphalt patches in and around, so everything has to be reconstructed. So it's gonna be a long, tedious, but as far as, you'll see, a lot of the curbing is already completed.
Mm-hmm.
There's new curbing in along Route 23 in certain stretches, but hopefully that's the timeframes that we've been given at this point.
I know one of the issues you talked to us about too, is that the contractor that the state hired to do the patchwork really didn't do the job that they needed to do, and it just really, it made the problem worse. So it's been an issue, and obviously then with the bad winter.
It's funny, because I had this conversation earlier. I just had a meeting with Public Service about their contractor.
Right.
And I meet with them just about every week now.
Yeah.
Because
It's
it's
terrible.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they even complained about potholes and repairs that needed to be done on the bottom of Bradford Avenue in Montclair. There are 4 patches that they have there, and our residents ride over it every day, even though it's not in our community. It affects
Right.
our people.
It's horrible.
I talk to Public Service 3 times a week about that, and they keep making the same mistake. They put temporary patch in the hole.
Yeah.
You need to
Days
put
later-
permanent patch, and 2
2
days
days later,
later,
it's gone.
Deputy Mayor, you experience the same thing I do.
Yep, travel it every day.
But many of our residents call me and complain about that. So we're not only on top of what's in our town, we're even complaining about what's in other towns.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. Councilman Vargo, anything else?
That's all,
it,
Mr.
thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you.
It's a great point to bring up, and it's a big issue that it's on everybody's minds right now. Hopefully it's going to get addressed sooner rather than later. Okay, moving on to new business, item 8. A, to consider a resolution concerning submission of strategic plan for 2019 municipal alliance grant.
Be it resolved that the Township Council does hereby authorize the submission of the strategic plan.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? The roll call, please.
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 8B, to consider resolution approval of raffle applications for St. Catherine of Siena Church.
Be it resolved that the council does hereby approve said applications.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 8C, to consider resolution concerning change order number 1, Skytop Road Sewer Main Project.
Be it resolved that the proper township officials are hereby authorized to execute the change orders in the amount of $85,450.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Under discussion, Mr. Tucci, can you,
Yes, what happened is, as we all know, up on the mountains, it's solid rock. During the course of the sewer main replacement, there was a lot more rock that was found, and they had to chip it out. And this is the amount, the 85,000 is the additional dollars needed to complete the job.
okay. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 8D, to consider resolution concerning transfer of appropriations.
Be it resolved that the following transfers of appropriations listed herein are hereby approved.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 9, approval of bills.
Be it resolved that the summary of bills having been duly audited and found correct are hereby ordered paid in the amount of $827,553.88.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Just before I open the meeting up to residents, I just wanted to, I saw one other thing that I forgot to mention during my report. Ms. Stutz, there was 2 resident letters regarding water and sewer bills. I know you passed that on to Mr. Homa, correct?
I
We're
did,
awaiting
yeah.
his recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, great. Thank you. Okay, the meeting is now open to the residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on or off the agenda concerning township business. Seeing none, I close that portion of the meeting. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting of the mayor and council in certain circumstances, and whereas the mayor and council of the Township of Cedar Grove are of the opinion that such circumstance exists, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Township of Cedar Grove, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the public shall be excluded from discussion of any action on the executive session of the meeting of the mayor and council of March 5th, 2018. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is civil litigation. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public as soon thereafter, as it is deemed in the public interest to do so. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Vargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes, motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you.